and welcome back to the Sleepless Podcast, where I interview people that are much more qualified than me in just about every area. And what a second guest I've got here today, mate. I've got another huge resume here for you. So, pick 21 in the 2016 draft, 53 games, 62 goals, Rising Star nominee, number 9 for the Swans, debuted in 2017, Will Hayward.
Thank you very much for having me. Not a bad intro.
No, it's all right. It's not too bad. Mate, you are an absolute superstar, and you will be an absolute superstar. You're still very young, and I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of your career now. We first got in contact last year because of my mate Reese, who you were just an absolute great bloke about as well. And so,
no, you're a great bunch of mates, I think.
it was really good in the end, and you were sort of the first bloke to sort of get around the whole Shaka thing, and it was unbelievable. We raised $8,000 something on GoFundMe, which is unbelievable.
Awesome.
For the people listening, the link's still in my Instagram bio, so if you want to keep donating, never hurts too much anyway. Absolutely, but yeah, and that video got sent to him, and he was absolutely loving it. And I told him that you were coming on today, and he was quite excited about it.
Great to hear. Good on him.
And he's cancer free as well now. Just so
that's the main thing. He's back and he's kicking goals.
Absolutely, and he will be this year coming up. So on to you, mate. You are a bit of a superstar. So North Adelaide boy from South Australia way, and then obviously into Sydney. So you went to St. Peter's College?
Yeah. So grew up in Adelaide. Lived in North Adelaide. So I played under 18s or SANFL for North Adelaide Roosters for probably since under 12s, and then just followed the ranks up there, and went to school at St. Peter's, which I was very lucky to, and it's a great school, and mate, had a great childhood. So
absolutely, mate. I was looking at the alumni list for St. Peter's College, and it is something to behold. There are some serious units that have gone to that school. Phil Davis, Tom Harley, buddy Gil McLaughlin, Hamish McLaughlin, Will Minton, Lockie Neal, mate.
Few other Swans boys. So Tom Harley's the CEO of the Swans.
Yeah.
We've got Dill Stevens, who we took with pick 5.
Yep.
2 years ago. We got a rookie this year, Malachi Carruthers.
Yep.
He's a Saints boy. So we've got a little clan building at the club.
I was going to say, you got a draft tactic coming through.
I know. So what happens when the Fox went there?
Oh, absolutely. So were you a Crows fan growing up, or were you a Port Adelaide fan?
I was a big Crows fan. Grew up going to the games at Amy Stadium with my brother and dad. Watching Andrew McLeod, Mark Rasciuto. Absolutely loves them.
I was going to say that was a good team to go for around them too. Like that was an absolute superstar lineup. That, and then obviously North Adelaide Roosters as well. Do you play with Brandon Parfitt and Jack Graham? Yeah. Were they two of the boys that were Was there anyone else in that team?
Yeah. We had Jordan Sweet, he was a ruckman. He's at the Bulldogs now.
Yep.
Kim LeBoyce, he was at Carlton for a few years, but he's back at North now. Just trying to think. Yeah, Jack's probably on a bit of a heater at the moment with a couple premierships under his belt. So, he's doing the club very proud.
I'm sure you'll get there, absolutely, mate. Mate, I've got this story here from North Adelaide, and it is, mate, so under 18 prelim in the Sandful, you kicked 9 goals, 9 in a prelim final.
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird one. So the week before that, or 2 weeks before that, maybe, we had our big school intercol. So Saints versus PAC, and it's like the 2 big schools, and they have a big game, and I had an absolute stinker, like a shocking game, and there were a few recruiters there, and then there were questions, like my manager was saying, they're a bit flat because you didn't perform in a big game. You need to. I was like, shit, pressure's on, far out.
Absolutely.
And luckily the next week we had the prelim, and I was just lucky. I had one of my best mates that I went to school with, Tom Matsiliadis. He plays in the midfield. He had 41 touches and he was he was just feeding it down my throat all day. So yeah, I thank him for that.
Mate, that is. I'm like looking at the highlights of that. I was just like, holy shit, that's a performance, man. And in like not a bad league whatsoever. Like that's one of the best quality leagues you can get in. You've kicked 9 out of prelim, and then you kick and you kick 4 the next week in the losing granny. Unfortunately for you boys, anyway.
Losing by a point on the siren.
Oh, mate, I just want to touch on that. I know it's a very like touchy subject, I'm sure, but that is probably the most unbelievable finish to a game I reckon I've ever seen in my entire life.
I know, it was hectic.
Do you want to explain to the listeners sort of what happened there? Because it's unbelievable.
So we went in. So it's North Adelaide versus Glenelg, grand final, Adelaide Oval. Sort of table tennis game all day, 1 goal each, and then it was a draw with about 20 seconds left. We had the ball, turned it over, out in the full, come back and hit a bloke called Toby Pink about 70 metres out from goal. We had our ruckman on the goal line, everyone on the goal line. All they needed was a point to win, and it's dropped. I actually blame Jordan Sweet. He could have taken an uncontested mark, and he's gone for a miracle spoil, completely missed it. It's bounced. No one's expecting it to bounce, so no one's really wanting a ground ball. And it's trickled through a few legs and gone for a point. So that was shattering. And then I got drafted to the Swans a few months later. And then maybe 3 days after that was the rookie draft, and we picked Toby Pink, who was the bloke that kicked the point. So that was even more of a stab in the back. But he was. I went on to live with him, and he's an absolute great fella.
Oh, mate, like that's actually really funny. Like, just it all comes through in the end, and obviously, but like that is, mate, that finish. Like, I watched that just like recently, and I was actually shocked. Like, and you always hear stories about like make sure it doesn't go through, and like stopping the ball before it goes, whatever. But that is the time where it's like shit. Like that is. Yeah. That hurts.
It was such a strange feeling in the rooms after.
What was your coach's reaction and like other players' reaction?
It's such a hard one because you can't really spray someone because no one obviously is going to do that on purpose. It was just like more shock and like that's how is that actually how we just lost? Like, yeah,
especially like the grand final day as well. Like you probably just you're sad enough. You wouldn't want to sort of.
Yeah, exactly.
Who did you play like on that day? Was there anyone like on the Glenelg team that was sort of along with Pink as well? Or?
So we played at Glenelg. So the Jackson Edwards, who was at Crows for a year or two, he played. Toby Pink, who was at Swans for 2 or 3 years. And then Sam Walker and Jonty Scharenberg. They were probably two of the stiffest blokes I've seen not get picked up.
I heard about Scharenberg, yeah.
Yeah, both probably first 2 rounds you'd expect. Both all Australians from the state carnival. But yeah, so they were both on they had a pretty stacked side. But yeah, it was just a hectic day.
Absolutely. I mean, you did what you did. You kicked 4 and you can't complain too much. That's
no, it doesn't too much when you don't get the chocolates.
No, exactly. But that's not too bad. So anyway, after that, obviously the 2016 draft, you ended up going to the Swans. You were the first South Australian picked in that draft as well. So you were pick 21 was you. Did you know you were going to go to the Swans? Had you had chats with them sort of before? Or?
Swans are very sort of cagey about their draft tactics. So I was actually told by Port that they'd take me, and I was told by Brisbane they'd take me. Brisbane actually sent me my boarding pass.
Oh, shit.
So before the draft, they sent me my flight details for Monday.
Oh, wow.
And Port also said, we'll pick you. So I'm sitting there at draft night with my family and all the cameras are there. And Kane Corns was commentating on Fox Footy, or one of the Corns, probably Kane. And he was like, oh, interesting what they'll do with this pick here with Will. So then, as he says that, all the cameras come up to me, and I'm like, oh shit, then they must have, planned it or something, because usually the cameras go straight to the next bloke being picked. And then they go, oh, we picked Todd Marshall or something.
Oh shit! Yeah.
You just need to. Right, okay. You said you take it there, but right, doing that one. And then Brisbane had a pick. Same thing. So I think they took Cedric Cox or maybe Jared Berry with that pick.
Oh, shit, yeah.
So I was like, and after those Port and Brisbane went, I sort of didn't really know where I'd end up. I'd spoken to Swans. They actually, the first time I met them, they absolutely roasted me. Like,
shit.
Got stuck into me so hard.
What did they say?
Oh, they were like, you're a bit naive. You need to get your fitness up.
Oh, God.
This, that. So I was like, I think it was one of my first meetings as well with the club, and I was like, shit, righto. So I got my fitness up, like got a trainer and met with them at the draft camp where they sort of got around me a bit more, like, we're sort of happy that I did something about it. But after that, they said, actually at the end of that meeting, they said, Tom Harley's not here, but he wants to have lunch with you tomorrow because we're both Saints boys.
Of course, yeah.
So I was like, okay, yeah, sweet. So I had lunch with Harles. I had to sit down with him, and he said like a throwaway comment, you want to come play for the Swans? I was like, yeah, no, absolutely. But then didn't hear a word from Swans after that. So I've sort of threw that out the window, whereas other clubs you speak to pretty regularly.
Yeah.
And then draft night, like when it was their pick, I wasn't really expecting them.
Yeah.
And then, it just sort of took me by surprise. But then looking back, it's sort of maybe they were keen, but
just on the telling one, yeah.
Roller coaster emotions, draft night.
Absolutely. Well, that's all, and it's a good club to go to as well. Sydney have been quite successful over the last how many years. So that's not a bad pick whatsoever at all.
Yeah.
So when you first got to the Swans, you got drafted with Ollie Florent and Darcy Cameron. Were they two of the other boys that came in that draft with you?
Yeah, and Jack Mayborn, who's a key defender. He's had a horror run with injuries, but I think he's playing VFL when that gets underway again. Yeah,
awesome. Yeah, so who did you bond with the most sort of when you rocked up? Like, was there any other SA boys that had sort of...
So I got drafted with Ollie. We were in the same group at the Combine, so we spoke a little bit together, but didn't really know each other. He's from Melbourne. But we were both at the draft night together.
Yep.
Because I think there's only maybe 25 people that go to the draft, and we were both there. And the draft was in Sydney.
Yep.
So we were both there, and then all our families went back to the club and had a tour. So we sort of bonded straight away just because we started like at the same time. We're with each other. We've gone through everything together. So he's my best mate to this day, and I've just moved out of living with him. So I lived with him for a few years, and but he's all shackled up with his missus now. So I got the boot. But yeah, he was one that I bonded with pretty quickly, along with Tom Papley. He's a funny bloke that I bonded with pretty quickly as well.
Yeah.
But when you get drafted, all the first 3 year players live in a housing program, so everyone's really close. You all live with each other. So
of course, yeah.
As a third year blokes, you just like become so tight with. But other than that, as it got close to the year and I started playing a few games, all the senior guys are so good, and no one has an ego. Dane Rampy, Luke Parker, Joey Kennedy, Buddy, like all the boys are just awesome. So,
yeah, that's awesome. Of those older boys, which one of them sort of like took you under their wing the most and like kind of guided you along sort of that footy path?
I think Bud, obviously, because he's sort of only forward out of the leaders that we had.
Yep.
And everyone just sort of like he's not a bloke where you're like, oh shit, it's Bud. It's like he's like your mate. You talk to him about anything, and he's like a we had such a young forward line, and we still do. So he's like the sort of father, like the coach without being the coach. So
of course.
He was one, but Dane Rampy and Josh Kennedy as well. They make you feel at home, check in all the time. So they're great mates, and they're awesome when you first get to the club. Yeah,
super stars, those boys. So in your first year, I found this article where Papley, who you spoke about before, he called you a coach's pet in the first year. What was the go with that? And are there any players that are sort of actually like that, or is it just?
Nah, I don't know where that came from. I think what the thing is if you're in your first year and you play a few games, apparently you're the coach's pet. So that was perhaps me. I think he was trying to derail it off himself. And then he said it in a post-match interview.
Yeah.
And it just sort of blew up. And then, yeah, so I'm glad that that's gone now.
Yeah, no.
It certainly wasn't the coach's pet because I copped a few sprays. So,
are there any that you're allowed to sort of divulge on? Like, obviously, you're still playing there, but are there any that are just hilarious that?
There was this one game. I was having a shocker. It was at Adelaide Oval, so it was my first game in Adelaide, my first year. And he sort of spoke to me and said, "Oh, who are your favourite players growing up? Or like, who do you like from the Crows?" And for some reason, I really liked watching Brodie Smith play before I was drafted.
Sure. Yep.
And I was like, "I like Brodie Smith," and he was like, "Oh, mate, well, that's good." And I lined up on him in the first quarter. I think he had about 25. I think I finished the game with 6 or 7 touches. And in the 3-quarter time, Horses grabs me and he goes, "I don't care, what you think of Brodie Smith. I want you to fucking bury him." So I was like, it was a bit more heated than that sounded like. So I just sort of, I was like, right,
yeah.
I didn't bury him. Didn't get close to burying him. I think he buried me. But yeah, so that was my first year, and that was when I pretty quickly found out that I wasn't the coach's pet. But,
no, that's all right.
You gotta cop a spray every now and then.
Oh,
so.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just what makes it fun.
Exactly. Keeps you on your toes.
I've got a bit of an echo at the moment now. It's fine. So in that year, of course, your first year, round 23, last round, you got the Rising Star. Now, You had a great game. You kicked 3 against the Blues. It is just a damn shame that Buddy kicked 10.
I was actually very embarrassed to receive the Rising Star that week because, firstly, I had 3 disposals. I kicked 3. I had 3 kicks and 3 goals. Bud kicked 10. And I was playing so bad that at the end of it, Horse said, "You're tagging Doherty." So I was like, righto. So I actually did a right tagging him. And then I got a Rising Star and I was like these blokes getting Rising Star having 20 and kicking 1. And I'm there with 3 disposals, like looking like a clown. But yeah, I just blamed that on. It's hard to get a kick when Bud kicks 10, so that's what I went
and
with.
it would be absolutely. Mate, the fact that you had to tag Doc in an 81-point win is quite good.
I think it was Horse's way of trying to get me around the ball. Doherty will probably take Will to it. So
give him some touches.
Yeah, got dropped the next week. So
actually as well.
I did. Yeah.
God, that's so stiff.
Week 1 of the finals. So I wasn't too surprised, to be honest.
That's actually quite stiff, though, I feel.
I certainly wasn't debating it at the time. I was going into confident after having 3.
Got the Rising Star and it just gets the boot. That's unfortunate. So then obviously after that, so you've kicked 62 goals over your career. Did you know, this is actually something I found out as well, you are ranked 100 in Sydney's top goal kickers? So with that 63 goals, you are exactly 100.
I did not know that.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you're on the up, and the 53 games in, and you're number 100. You're covered for it. That's what I looked at, and I was like, oh, that's quite impressive. It's not bad at all.
We'll see how we go. Then get a few kick first, I think.
That's all right. So you spoke before about Papley as well, obviously. You guys are quite a funny duo on the field. Is that sort of the same off the field as well? Like you hanging out just like you are?
Yeah, we're both, I think we just sort of click because we're both, young forwards, just sort of thriving being out there, carrying on with goal celebrations, chatting shit on the field and just sort of bringing energy. That was almost our role, to bring energy to the forward line. And we just bonded from doing that and became really close mates off the field as well. So, yeah, he's probably a massive reason why I played so early. I sort of saw what he did in his first year, and he just tackled and pressure, not really worried about getting the ball. So, that's sort of what I tried to do, and luckily enough, got a few gigs. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you guys, every YouTube video I swear is you two together. Like I see just all the time, it's Paps and Hayward, and it's Paps and Will, and it's just all this stuff. Like you're always doing stuff together.
They've handed up a bit, but yeah, I don't know. It's some of it's funny, and you know, like the other day, I was crook, but we had photo day, and I looked at my thing, and it was, I don't know what it was, but it was just like maybe AFL filming or something.
Yeah.
Just me and Paps, like no one else. I was like,
of course.
Luckily gave that one a miss.
Yeah, and you spoke before that about goal celebrations. There is that very iconic goal celebration of Papley just completely clearing you.
Yeah, I know.
And your face afterwards.
I was pretty filthy at that because I thought I kicked a hand goal, and I was hoping for a bit of me time, and Paps comes in and jumps over my head. He's about 5 feet tall.
That's totally so funny. And your face after that is the funniest thing ever. Like, you look shocked.
Yeah, I think we both couldn't believe it. I was like, did you actually just jump over me? Like, you're tiny, mate. How have you done that?
It's so funny. Like, that's one of the funniest things ever.
I love that photo. That was funny.
Oh, and Papley, of course, as we know, he's kind of risen to become this almost superstar of the comp. He obviously was requested a trade last year, but then decided to stick with you boys, and he's sticking with you again next year as well. And he's just become just this goal scoring machine. Have you always sort of known that he's going to become this sort of forward, or was he kind of just?
He's one of the he's one of the dumbest blokes I've ever met. But his footy smarts are through the roof. He knows where to run. He knows when to run. He knows when to take body. He knows when to run off. And I think as you become a dangerous small forward, obviously the defenders are like right up your ass and everything. So the fact that so last year he had a big year. The year before he had a big year, which sort of really put him on notice for defenders. Really keep an eye out for Papley.
Yep.
And so when he came out and kicked whatever he kicked, all-Australian squad member, like to do that when he's got a Velcro suit on him, a defender just following him everywhere. It's like he's being tagged everywhere around and still goes out and kicks 3 and 4 and has goal assists. Like he's an absolute beast. He'll be the best small forward in the comp in the next few years. I've got absolutely no doubt about it.
Yeah, he kind of has just gone absolutely through the roof with his play, and that game during the State of Origin bushfire left as well, where he kicked 5 or whatever it was for Victoria was bloody unbelievable as well. Like he's been coming, and then this year obviously he missed out on the All Australian, which was just ridiculous. I feel.
I couldn't believe it.
And
I take the way there and have a beer with him in it. But that's it. He's not really too fussed about the individual accolades. All he wants is team success. So, individual stuff will come. I'm sure it'll come.
Of course. Yeah, I feel like he wouldn't care too much, but I feel like you other boys would care more because it's like, you deserve this sort of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and
it was a shoo-in.
Yeah, and I'm a Saints fan, so I thought Butler was going to get it in the other forward pocket. So I thought the 2 forward pockets were going to have.
I thought the exact same. Yeah.
Should have been, I reckon, but we'll look past it.
2021.
Yes, hopefully anyway. And speaking 2021 with the Swans as well. So you've had a couple good pickups through the draft and through the trades and everything like that. So pick 4 this year, you had Logan McDonald, who has come through to you boys. Have you got the chance to see with him yet and train around with him?
Yeah. He's taken number 6. So I'm right next to him in the locker room. So, he's a great fella, extremely talented, very smart as well. He's gonna be an absolute superstar. I've got absolutely no doubt. Along with the other boys we drafted, this is one of the best drafts I think this club's had in terms of got 4 picks, and they all look like they're going to be very good. Yeah,
a couple of academy boys as well. Yeah. They absolutely. And you also got Tom Hickey from the West Coast Eagles as well. I saw that photo the other day of you and him with the hat on as well.
Need animal hats. Give him
a shout out. Yeah, they'll be in the bio here. Need animal hats, of course.
Yep. His little side hustle. He's a great fella. Came in straight away and just knows how to fit in. So I think after being at 4 clubs, he's pretty good at getting used to new clubs.
Used to the new boys, yeah.
Yeah, used to meeting new boys and fitting in. So, he's got a young family, so he's, enjoys, living it up in Sydney, coming from Perth and spent time in Melbourne and Geelong. So he's, going to a new beach every weekend with his wife and little son.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, he obviously, as I said before, Saints fan, so got a little soft spot for Hickey as well.
The big Hickey.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this year though, you lost Aliir, which was a bit of a big loss to the Port Power, and you were pretty close with him, I'm assuming as well.
Yeah, he's actually up in Sydney. I caught up with him yesterday. He's always asking questions about Adelaide because I'm from there, so always asking me where to go, what's good, where do I go for a beer. That's probably his main question. But yeah, he was a massive loss, but he got offered a great opportunity, a 4-year contract, and they were taken to his 30. So no one really held anything against him. It's probably what was best for him.
Yeah.
A massive loss for us because he's a talented athlete.
Gun, yeah, he is. So we're off field as well now for next year. So you're sponsored by Adidas as well, aren't you?
Yes.
Yes. So I've seen sort of all over the Instagram and everything. That's a pretty good pickup. Try and get Adidas to sponsor this quickly.
Yeah. Listen out. Shout out to Adidas.
I know. Mate, that's pretty impressive though. And then I saw the bit of Instagram stalking, which I'm good at. You went to the GQ Men of the Year Awards and you met LaMelo Ball.
I did, yeah. That was a very funny night. So Paps and I, I don't know. The club got an email inviting Paps and I, so
sure.
Off we went, put our suits on, and we had a training session the next day, so couldn't have too many beers. But we walked in and we were just a little bit like whoa, we weren't really expecting that. Massive names everywhere. Zendaya was hosting it. Like,
oh shit.
So me and Patch looking at each other like, shit, we're going to need a few beers to not get a sweat.
Liquid courage,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, so I had a few beers. By the end of it, I was, had LaMelo, I asked him if I could try on his chain and he certainly didn't allow it. So
that's unfortunate.
But yeah, no, that was a funny night. Me and heckling him.
That's unbelievable.
Man crushing on him. So yeah, we're pretty much best mates with LaMelo.
Oh, absolutely. And I was going to say, do you keep in contact with him, or have you, does he follow you, or?
Yeah, I've been plying him. I need to probably get back to him. I've had a few missed calls, so if he fell over me in the street, he would have no idea who any of us were. He was wearing literally like diamond shoes, a big chain, like that. He was a little gangster.
Just money to just absolutely.
Yeah.
Low on absolutely anything. I want to talk about your Twitter as well, because it's probably the funniest Twitter I've ever come across. You don't tweet much, but the things that you do tweet are actually quite hilarious. There's wow ... which was, I think, the All Australian.
That was when the All Australian. That was the All Australian squad.
I thought so. Yep.
Yeah. And then there's the one about the sharks and the sushi.
Yeah, so your pin tweet, do sharks get thirsty or what's the go with that? Brilliant.
Yeah, that was I was just so curious because I was like, you're not going to drink salt water, are you? Like, it got a fair few responses, and I got the answer I was looking for. So they absorb water through their gills. Or something like that.
Yeah, a bit of stats. Yeah, 41 replies, 45 retweets, 654 likes. Not bad at all on that one.
That's my best tweet ever.
And my personal favorite though, because I truly agree more than anything in the entire world. And it wasn't that long ago either. It was like less than a month ago. Just, okay, Woolies sushi is heaps good.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I went there getting stuff for dinner and I was like, that actually looks all right. So I picked it up.
Yeah.
Bang. Elite sushi.
Woolies sushi.
I had to let them know.
So good. Woolies sushi is like beyond good. It doesn't deserve to be that good, but it's that good. It's hilarious. It's beautiful. And then, so very recently as well, which is literally like 4 days ago, whatever it was, your horse got up.
Yeah, Champs Dior.
Champs Dior.
So everyone out there,
Absolutely.
Champs in your Yeah, so about 7 or 8 of us from the club put in some cash, and I think we got 10% of it between. I don't know how many of us are in it, but so it had its first run and flopped it, and we all thought it was shit. And then it was only at Kilmore, so it's not like it was jogging off at Flemington. We celebrated like it just won the Everest.
Mate, that's a beautiful video too. Just all the boys getting around.
There's another one when we lost, so
shit.
Not surprised that hasn't seen there.
I know. I might have to do some digging. That's quite funny. I remember I was listening to Dylan Friends last year, where Paps was on it, and he was talking about it then as well. Shout out to Dylan Friends and Paps as well. But he was talking about it. He was talking about it then, and then so when I saw that video, and people were like, didn't actually know that you owned it. They just kind of like thought you were all on it, just having a bet. But I was like, I'm pretty sure that's the horse that they actually own.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So it came out ages ago, and we bought the share ages ago, and it didn't run so long. Like it had trials, and then they rested it, and we're like, far out, this is not even gonna run. Now it's finally starting to run, so it was a well anticipated race.
Yeah.
Or win today.
That was a great video to watch as well, and like my mate was getting around it. He's like, "Oh, look at the Swans boys. That's great culture to have around the boys."
It was great.
So what's sort of next for you? Obviously, you're still playing footy and you're still very young, and you'll be there for forever. But is there anything that you're sort of thinking of doing off field soon, or anything coming up?
Not really too much. I'm doing a bit of studying business at UNSW up here in Sydney.
Yep.
Barely getting by there. But probably just, I don't know, I'm interested in real estate and stuff like that. So something to think about post footy, but hopefully dig into a few of the connections at the club, and hopefully they can get me a good gig somewhere.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, obviously you're still very young, so you've still got plenty of years of footy left ahead of you anyway. So not like you have to think about it too hard anyway, just yet. But mate, thank you so much for coming on. Obviously, it's been an awesome chat with you, and being able to sort of talk to you again since like properly in person, with instead of just DMing you constantly.
Yeah, I know. It's about time we met up.
I know, which is always good. And massive respect for you for all of last year and for everything you did for my mate and coming on here as well. It's awesome for you to do.
No worries, mate. More than happy to, and I'm glad he's better, and he's got a great bunch of lads supporting. Cheers,
mate. This has been awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, Will. Cheers.
No worries. Thanks, mate.
Cheers.